You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Thanks for being with us. Today is Wednesday, November 27th, 2024. It is a Wednesday, and just because it's the eve of Thanksgiving doesn't mean it's not another day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. In fact, we're going to have lots of segments out on Thanksgiving Day as well. Here with me today, I'm your host, Greg Mengelt. Here with me today is Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader sports editor Michelle Garmon to talk a little boys basketball. We've been podcasting now for 6.5 hours, so Michelle's going to give me a quick recount of the Tipton Tri-Central game, and then she's going to go home and take care of things that she needs to be doing. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Greg. Glad to be here. I got to see the 47th annual Pilgrim Cup game last night, and though I have been alive for all 47, I have not been in attendance for all 47. But
pretty close.
I think it started maybe a year or two before I hit high school. So, it was nice to see. The gym was actually, we talked about that the other night. I would say the gym was at 90% capacity last night, which was fantastic. I think that there may have been one of the reasons for that. May have been they had a chili suppers, a fundraiser for Addie Sluka, who is battling had surgery for brain cancer and is still in a rehab hospital, I believe, at this time, relearning our the basic things that we do and our brain tells us to do. So it's tremendous. I didn't make it quite there in time because Tuesday's a very busy work day for me. I didn't make it in time to get some chili, but I did make it in time to make sure I paid for chili because I wanted to make sure I got a donation in. But then the game, it was actually a back and forth game early. Teams struggled to shoot the ball early, especially from outside. Tipton probably shot a few more threes at times than what Coach Cliff Hawkins wanted. I mean, he likes you to hit the open three if it kinds of inside out and ball movement, but there were times
when it's available.
Yes. And I think he was upset because I think sometimes he thought they took a three too soon, and then there were times I think he thought that they passed up a three where would have been a good shot. But that's part of learning. Tipton returned just 2 starters from last year's team and a third varsity player in Landon Spidell. Both Tipton has a couple sophomores. Grayson McFalls, 6'8", he made his first varsity start last night. Was in foul trouble quite a bit. He ended up finishing with 7 points, all in the second half. He struggled early. He missed some easy shots early. I think, sophomore, big game, a little tight. Quinn Smith, another sophomore. You are probably familiar with that name from soccer. He also battled foul trouble a little bit. He didn't really score, but I don't think that's what they look at from Quinn. What they look at to get from Quinn is tough defense, toughness on the boards, and provided that. Tri-Central was also hurt, too, because they're 2 inside guys. J.J. Koviak and Aaron Hoback were both in foul trouble. Hoback ended up fouling out, and Jane Koviak, McFalls, and Smith all finished with 4 fouls. But that said, it was a good game early. Tri-Central actually led 6-2.
I don't think we've mentioned the final score was 64-40.
I did not. I'm sorry, I forgot. It was.
So did I.
It was 64-40. Yeah, close early. It was actually Tri-Central led 6-2. Tipton came back and tied it on a Grady Carpenter 3-point play, and then they, I think Peyton Aller knocked down a 3 that put Tipton in the lead. It stayed close. Big shot was Grady Carpenter buried a deep 3 at the end of the first quarter to put Tipton up 14-7. For Grady, it was his only 3-point basket of the night. He missed his other 8 attempts. So he was 1 from 9 outside the arc, but he was like 10 of 14 or 10 of 16 from the field inside the arc. So, and when he got the ball down inside, he was often double, triple teamed. But, and then the second quarter, Tri-Central had 2 turnovers that Tipton turned into to points. Oh, I should say that. It wasn't a Peyton Noller 3 that turned the tide in the first quarter. Sorry, Grady Carpenter, after tying the game, came up with the steal, went in for a one-handed dunk that kind of, got the Tipton crowd, which, even though the game was at Tri-Central, it was pretty evenly split.
He was outstanding, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was outstanding, and he got that dunk, big cheers, a lot of, some momentum, and then I think Aller hit a 3. Then later, Isaac Hummerkaus had a big 3 for Tipton in the first half. That's a Hummerkaus. Nail those 3s. But Tipton then took advantage of Tri-Central turnovers in the second quarter, and they opened up at halftime, Tipton had stretched its lead to 32-15, and Tri-Central had 7 turnovers in the quarter, which was hurt them. You'll hear from Coach Cam Hindman later, and he will talk about that second quarter and their empty possessions and how they closed out the quarter, and that he said that he really believes that was the difference in the game. Carpenter had 15 points at halftime. He played a lot more inside in the second half. Tri-Central played better in the third quarter. Tipton took a 46-27 lead into the fourth quarter, but it was never closer than that 19 points that they start, then began the quarter. Like I said, Grady ended up finishing the night with 28 points, game high, 6 rebounds. I think Tipton actually had him for 8 rebounds, and that may be, I was taking photos last night, sitting on the front row taking photos, blocked out a couple times, so he could have, a couple of the team rebounds I gave could have been Grady. So 7 assists, 2 steals. His second steal, he ended with another dunk. So I guess we should say he also had 2 dunks. Peyton Aller, in his first varsity start, he saw some limited varsity minutes last year in the second half of the season. He ended up with 13 points, 6 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 assists. His length bothered. He's slender. You probably remember Peyton Aller from tennis, but he's a great athlete, and he has great hops. And then McFalls, the 7 points, 5 rebounds. He blocked a couple shots, and I think he had a couple steals where they tried to pass over the top of him, and he just corralled it. Jace Clark came off the bench for 5 points for Tipton. Sam Quigley had 4 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Spidell Landon, 4 points, 4 rebounds. And I'm going to go back to Quigley. Quigley's contribution probably came up really big on the defensive end of the floor, because his assignment was to guard Tri-Central's Drake Ramsier, who is their leading returning scorer, and I think he was the second leading scorer on that team last year behind Stetson Newcomb. And he did a great job. Ramsier finished with 3 points, 2 rounds, 2 steals, but I think he was like 1 of 9 from the field. I mean, Sam was just, and Cam Hindman will talk about that too, the transition from Drake had. Last year, Drake was the third guard, the last couple years, so not as much riding on him as far as having to handle the ball and everything. And I think it's a lot easier sometimes to get the ball on the wing and be able to make your slashing moves into the lane, and score off of that. Now he has to play kind of like the 1 to 2 and handle the ball a lot more. So, and as such, and because he's going to draw teams' their top defenders. Right. Cliff Hawkins, as you would imagine, he was happy to get the season opening win. But
his 586th, by the way.
Yeah, his 586th game. It's pretty cool. We could have 2 area coaches get 600 wins this year. That's pretty phenomenal.
Are you including Jerry Baumholt?
That is, okay, including Jerry Baumholt. And I like Jerry.
He's the best.
So he was happy, but he'll tell you that there are still lots of things that Tipton's got to work on, especially and to clean up before they play game number 2, which game number 2 is Saturday, December 7th, when they host the Frankton Eagles. So, but let's hear from Cliff and his thoughts on the game.
A good opener for us. A lot of things that we have to go back and work on. Our inability to get the ball inside early. Then when they went to the zone, it made it even more difficult because we did a lot of standing around, shooting threes, and not rebounding the ball. But I thought as the game went on, we found a way to get the ball a little bit more inside and get some baskets close to the rim. And there were some really good things. I think we got to improve our ability to feed the post. I think we got to improve our ability to get the ball. And I think we have to improve our ability to, in terms of our offense, move the ball more effectively. I just thought we did sometimes, but we had a lot of guys that didn't recognize what was happening. So we just got to teach them, and we will. They're a great group of kids. I'm really proud that we won, and it was really a great day to be a Blue Devil.
I thought a big change for you, too, helped to open you up inside was once when you moved Grady down and had him go post up on the block.
Well, we had the big guys in foul trouble, and it probably is something we're going to have to move toward. We've worked on it this fall, obviously. But it's kind of hard for us to have two big people out there when he goes low because neither one of them are really skilled on the perimeter. So we just have to keep working. But we've got great kids, and we'll be able to figure it out.
For Tri-Central, they had a pleasantly surprising performance from Isaiah Fowler. He finished with a team-high 17 points and 2 rebounds, and Isaiah looked good. He knocked down a couple of threes, made some nice mid-range jumpers. And if we'll hear in a little bit from Coach Hindman, I mean, if Isaiah could do this if this gives him confidence, springboard, and he can do this on a consistent basis, it makes Tri-Central a dangerous team for teams on their schedule and makes them more competitive down the way.
When I talked to Drake Ramsey before the season for our season preview, he did mention that Isaiah Fowler was going to be the player that surprised everyone coming out this season. So, well,
I'll tell you what, he looked really good last night. The thing is, he looked confident last night. Looked really good. He's athletic. He and Ramsey are probably their two best overall athletes. J.J. Koviak, despite battling foul trouble, finished with 15 points and 6 rebounds. Like I said, Ramsey had the 3 points, 2 rebounds, 2 steals. Logan Sargent hit a 3-pointer for Tri-Central, and Brody Arnold had 2 points. It will be fair to note this. Tri-Central was playing without senior Logan Yance, who started a little bit last year, but is definitely probably one of their top guys coming on. He's in their top 6. And so I guess he was he has a little bit of he was in an accident, hit a deer or whatever, and he has a concussion. So
that never happened in Tipton County. Come on.
No. So they're hopeful to get him back, being able to play soon. And they probably missed him last night with Hoback and Jankoviak in foul trouble. He gives them an extra toughness inside, and they didn't really have that.
I think it's pretty obvious both teams are going to have really nice seasons.
Yes, they are. As those younger kids learn, mix in, and get comfortable playing with Carpenter and Quigley and Spidell. Yeah, they both should have really good seasons. The great thing was both teams played really hard last night, and that's you want to see that, and they really did. And Tri-Central didn't let the scoreboard. I don't think they let it affect their play. They continued to play hard all the way through, and not some teams you get down in the body language or whatever, and you didn't see that. It was a nice Pilgrim Cup. It was great to have that atmosphere. Unfortunately for Tri-Central, it was the 19th straight time that Tipton's won the Pilgrim Cup. A great opening, and now Tri-Central also has a long layover, so they get a chance to kind of work on the things they need to work on, because they don't play again till Friday, December 6th, when they travel to Cowan. and we'll hear about what Coach Cam Hindman thinks about the Trojans right now. I mean, he was pretty happy even with the loss, what he saw.
I'm here with Tri-Central coach Cam Hindman following tonight's Pilgrim Cup game. Cam, you guys came out, and I thought you guys played well early, but then you kind of caught the turnover bug a little bit in the second quarter. It allowed Tipton to kind of open things up.
We did, and we started the game exactly how we wanted to start, and we wanted to hit a few more shots offensively, but the second quarter got us. We had, I think, 7 or 8 empty possessions to start the quarter, and then we ended it on a 1 for 10 score to empty possessions for the end of the quarter going into the half. And that was the big difference in the game. We responded really well in the third quarter, though. We kind of started being a little more patient offensively, and then we started working on a couple of adjustments defensively that I think made a big difference in the whole second half. That's the second quarter is definitely what got us.
Isaiah Fowler gave you guys a great lift tonight.
Oh, did he ever? Yeah, that kid's capable of that every night. As soon as he understands in his own head that he can do that every night, he's going to be a real problem for a lot of teams we play. We had him for 17 tonight, and they were just all athletic, just high energy type of moves, and it doesn't have to come within the offense. He can create all of that. But yeah, he was a very bright spot for us tonight. I was proud of him.
Jay Jankowiak had a nice game when he was on the floor. Trouble hurt.
Yeah, foul trouble got him. And Aaron Hoback, same boat. Both of those guys, Aaron did a really good job for us in the scrimmage on Saturday, and then he continued that tonight. So I'm really excited for what Aaron's going to bring for us this year. But yeah, Jay got himself in foul trouble. And we've been working really hard with Jay on making decisions on whether to come up and challenge the ball when the ball leaks past our guards, because it puts him in a bad position. And I thought he handled that part well. He got a couple cheap ones on some rebounds, but those things are going to happen. But he finished the game on the floor, and we moved him outside a little bit in that fourth quarter, and he did a really nice job out there. He had 8 in the fourth quarter, which for a big guy to play outside and get those is kind of exciting.
And a lot of it was just on starting outside and cutting to the basket.
Yes. And that's something just overall we struggled a little bit with tonight was making those cuts. But I thought in the third and the fourth we started to see some spots of positively with those kinds of offensive moves.
Drake Ramsey, a tough night, but it's a different role for Drake because he's got a lot of ball handling duties that he didn't have. He was like kind of the third guard last year.
And it's going to be hard for him, and he's going to see everybody's, unless Fowler can continue doing what he's doing, Drake's going to get everybody's best defender, and I think him being in more of a 1 or a 2 role versus a solid 3 where he was for the last 2 years, it's a bit of an adjustment for him, and he's a good enough player with a good enough work ethic and mindset. He'll get that figured out, and he'll be fine.
Logan Younts.
He had a auto accident where he hit a deer, and he's been in concussion protocol for the last couple of weeks. He goes back to doctor tomorrow, but he's been improving. We expect him to be ready for Cowan.
Well, I kind of hate that for you because it's 2 straight years you've opened up without PC.
Not full speed. And that's 100% true. And it's the hand you're dealt with. And I thought our kids, even though they missed having him on the floor, I thought they still stuck together and kind of rallied around each other to finish well. So I'm despite the score, I'm extremely encouraged with what this team can do between now and the end of the season.
All right, Michelle, a couple more before I let you get out of here. Elwood lost 42-23 at Jay County. We don't have any highlights or anything, but we did talk to Coach Vanskyock. Obviously, the offense really struggled with 23 points. However, the defense held a good Jay County team to 14 points in the second half, and Coach Vanskyock said that's where they're going to hang their hat.
Yeah, and he was actually pretty pleased because he thought with Jay County's size that they would have a big disadvantage on the glass, and I think he was afraid that that's where most of Jay County's points would be on offensive rebounds. But he says that he was pretty proud of his guys, that he thought they did a nice job of hanging tough on the boards and preventing Jay County from owning the offensive glass.
And here's Coach Vanskyock. All right, Ryan, first game out last night. Tell us how it went.
Yeah, I thought our kids played really hard defensively. Jay Counties are really big. They fluctuate 3A, 4A. They got 6'10", and then they got 6'7", 6'6", 6'8" in guards. Our tallest kid is 6'1", 6'2". So we only gave up 14 points in the second half. We got beat by 19, 42 to 23. We had it down to 10 or 11 in at the end of the third quarter. Bryce missed a wide open three. For us, we dictated the tempo where we wanted to be and had a shot. But when you shoot about 12% from three, unfortunately, that don't get it done. So we felt like if we're hitting shots, we could have knocked them off last night the way we played defensively. And sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't. But I was proud of our effort. We're at the point where there's no moral victories for us, so we're upset we lost. So we had a 2.5-hour practice today to try to get better and prepared for Friday.
Was the offensive struggles more about your team, or was that about Jay County?
Jay County's long and lengthy, so it took our kids probably a quarter and a half just to get used to the length and size. The third and fourth quarter, I would say we probably had 12 or 13 wide open threes. We just didn't knock them down. They were wide open. They moved the ball really well, and unfortunately, we just couldn't knock them down.
Ryan, so you were talking about defensively. So how did you compete with them on the boards with their size, or was that a problem? Their size.
That was one area that I was proud of our kids. So they got about 6 points of offensive rebounds. We thought that would be an area that we'd really struggle in. But our guards, like Ethan Cassis and Bryce Schuler, and even Jaden Mullins and Braden Etchison, done an outstanding job of keeping them off the boards. They were totally rattled in the second half of just how we played defensively. We played as a team. So we did a really good job in that area. I thought that's an area that we would struggle at all year. But credit to our kids. They fought and competed on that end all night. So I was proud of them. We basically played 5 guys the whole game because we have no subs or bench right now with what happened to Cam. So credit goes to our kids, but we're not happy we didn't win the game either.
So then now you come back on Friday and then turn around and play again Saturday night, and that must be a decent APA team because I saw where they knocked off LA last night.
Yeah, they just got 3 new transfers in from Anderson last week. So, it's not even the same team that you've seen probably in the past. So, they're good, they're quick, they're athletic. Those 3 new kids that came in would have been probably more towards the bench players for Anderson. But those kids can still play when Anderson's that good. 8, 9, 10, 11th guy is a pretty good player. So I'm not focused on them much. I'll watch that tape tonight probably. I've been trying to focus on Hamilton. But the one thing that does scare me, and we weren't planning on this, but not having Cam and not really having a true bench, what is our legs going to look like after Friday night? Are we going to be so dead that we struggle defensively and offensively on Saturday? So that's one worry I have going into the weekend.
And so obviously, I guess, trying to knock down those open outside jumpers are going to be key for you against Hamilton. If you're able to, the boys are able to convert those, does that, I'm going to guess it makes you a lot more challenging of a team to prepare for?
Yeah, I think so. We told the kids too, I felt like we just settled for the 3 way too much last night. I know they were scared of the length, but I felt like there was times that we could have caught it and took a 1 dribble, hard dribble for a 15-foot pull-up shot, and we didn't do any of those things. We feel like we're better than Hamilton, so our tempo is going to change. Like, we slowed it down last night. We wanted to play smart. For Friday night, I mean, we're going to push the ball in trans and hopefully try to get some layups and stuff because we just struggle so much shooting. So we hope that we can get some better looks than 3 against Hamilton to just give us a little momentum, a little confidence in our shot to maybe some of those threes that will go in.
I would guess then, is Hamilton a quick team or whatever? Because I'm going to guess come Saturday night, transition defense will be huge.
Going to be key, and it was a key last night for us, and that's what we told the kids. I mean, the next 2 nights, we've got to get back. We gave up 4 or 6 points, but when you're talking a close game, you give up 4 or 6 points on layups and trans. I mean, that kills a team, especially us, where we can't make very many mistakes because we just don't have I hate to say it, but we just don't have very many basketball kids. We have kids that work hard. We have some athletic kids, but we don't have really high basketball IQ kids. So for us, we gotta play smart. We got to do the small things right. We got to play fundamental for us to be successful.
And hey, I'll tell you what, you're doing a great Black Friday sale to help fill that gym, $1 admission. Nice promo there.
Yeah, I think it's one thing about the kids since I've been here is they play so hard for me, and that I'm from Jay County, and everybody texted me last night. They're like, "Man, we can't believe how hard your kids play," and that's credit to them. They're fun to watch because they play so hard. They give 110% effort every single play, and we hope the crowd comes back and watches those kids. I mean, it's Thanksgiving weekend. A lot of people come into Elwood because of the lighting on Saturday. So we just hope the community comes out and supports our kids. I mean, what other deal are you going to beat $1 to get into a basketball game? So we hope they come out and support them.
Absolutely, and we'll be there, and I cannot wait to watch the game on Friday night. And one quick question for you real fast, Coach, and then Michelle has one. How's Coach Baumholt doing?
Really good. He told me this is going to be it for him. So he was 6 away from winning 600. This is his 50th year of coaching. He's already transitioned into Kokomo. He's living in Kokomo. So while he's coaching right now at Jay, he's living in the hotel. So he did tell me this is going to be it for him. So he's had a heck of a career. He's a heck of a coach. So credit to him and hats off to him for being able to do this job for 50 years. People don't understand how hard it is.
Oh, I know.
Successfully, by the way.
Very
successful.
Yep.
Tipton's Cliff Hawkins rents an apartment because his family lives like in Georgia. So, I mean, they come up, but for him to, to coach. So it's, yeah.
And that's one thing that bothers me about people is a lot of these community members or parents that want to complain and get on coach. People don't really understand all the sacrifices coaches make. They have no clue, and that's what really bothers me when people want to get on coaches and try to get coaches fired. Like, they have no clue all the sacrifices those people are making with their family, their time, to give back to their kids. So I hope people understand what really goes into coaching.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you throughout the season.
Nope, I appreciate you guys. You guys are a blessing to have. This is awesome. The reporting in Madison County is awesome, so credit to all you guys and what you do for the kids.
Michelle, Elwood has its home opener on Friday against Hamilton, and we will be there. They also go to Anderson Prep on Saturday.
Yeah. Yes. We'll announce it again because we're going to try to help Coach Vanskyock, and Elwood fill the gym on Friday night. You can't beat it. A deal. $1 admission for everyone, adults, students, whatever, $1 to get in. It's the Black Friday special. Just think about it this way. You can take you could take a family of $4 to get in. And I would imagine you could get away with hot dogs and concessions and be under $20. I mean, you can't beat that.
That's right.
I mean, shoot, $20 isn't even enough to cover admittance to a non-matinee movie in concessions.
Kokomo didn't lose anybody from last year's team, did they?
Yeah. Yeah, that was going to be the key. I mean, a couple. I mean, it wasn't just Flory Badunga. They lost. All right. So, yeah, Flory Badunga, who is now at Kansas and doing a really good job for the Jayhawks, coming off the bench, and Carson Rogers, a forward who came on big time last year. And Rogers was good because he was good underneath and he could step out and knock down 3-pointers. So, to lose those two players, you wonder when you go into the season, what are you going to do? But, hey, now you kind of change your philosophy a little bit. And while Kokomo could hit the perimeter shots and did hit some big threes at times last year, their money was going inside and playing through Flory Badunga and Carson Rogers.
Of course, last night they had 21 3-pointers, which is top 5 in Indiana history and a school record. Zion Bellamy, who's a senior, was their third leading scorer last year, 7 for 13 from the 3-point line. Ervion Burks, 5 for 7. They were 21 for 45. All kinds of records. I'll tell you that coming up in just a second. Bellamy finished with 29 points. Corbin Hamel was 4 for 11 from 3. 19 points. Brooks with 15. DJ Nash, a freshman, 6 for 6 from the field, 12 points, 9 rebounds. It's going to be a good year for Kokomo.
Yeah, and I was getting ready to say is, they went through playing inside, and now it looks like on the perimeter, they're going to be a very dangerous team on the perimeter. And when you're talking about the athletes that Kokomo has on the floor, that becomes real dangerous because now, you have to come out, and now their ability to put the ball on the floor and drive by defenders, even if it's, even if you're trying to play an extended zone, you get around that first guy, and if you can knock down mid-range pull-up jumpers, we talked about it with Haley Peckinpah, and we said how nice it was, and that household and how much basketball they probably talk. John's a good coach. His dad was an outstanding coach too, and he's going to do. He does a nice job, I think, of adjusting to what he has and can coach in a variety of ways. And that performance last night.
By the way, 98-56 over Western. Didn't mention the score or the team. Yeah. We just started talking about it.
Yeah, I feel sorry because I know Western's coach, Cam Bennington, is starting his second season.
Hung with him for a little while. In fact, led 14-13 at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, and I know Cam was really excited for the Panthers coming into this year. So, but when a team starts hitting and
61 points in the second half, Michelle.
Yeah. Well, they're 21 of 45 from 3-point range. So it's, that's not quite 50%, but it's awful darn close. And for threes, that's a great percentage.
By the way, 17 for 26 from 2-point range. So that would be, let's see, very good percentage. That's what I came up with. For Western, Carter Biggs led the team with 15 points. He also, Bryson Rucker had 11 points, was 5 for 6 from the field, and Hudson Biggs had 9 points and 6 rebounds, 2 assists. So real fast, some records set last night for Kokomo. The 21 3-pointers is 5th in Indiana history. Owen Valley hit 26 in 1991-92. Most assists in a game was a school record for Western with 26. That's 4th in the history, or tied for 3rd in the history of Indiana high school basketball. Oh no, they tied the all-time record for assists in a game since 85-86 with Logansport last year.
Well, when you think about that, that's on 38 made field goals overall. That's pretty darn good.
Yes, it is. 12 3-pointers in the second half is the 3rd most in Indiana history, according to Hickory Husker and Kokomo Sports Information Director Dean Hockney. 12 3-pointers made in the second half is 3rd. University has the record with 14. Scottsburg hit 13 last year. Most 3-pointers in a game by a team for Kokomo, Their record was 14. Last night, of course, I told you they had 21. Also, three-pointers attempted in a game. Last night, they had 12 more than they had ever attempted in a game in program history. And last one, made three-pointers in the fourth quarter. Kokomo set the all-time Indiana State record with 10, breaking Chesterton's record from 2006.
Wow, Wildcats, it's going to be sounds like it's going to be another good year for the Wildcats, getting off to a great start.
NCC is going to be great.
Yes. I'll get the opportunity to see the Wildcats because they'll make a visit to Tipton in January. So,
all right, Michelle. Anderson's 3 returning starters, Damian King, Colin Lewis, and Javon Warfield combined for 44 points. King had 20, Colin Lewis 13 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists. Javon Warfield 11 points as Anderson started the season with a 65-52 win over Pendleton Heights on Tuesday. Anderson jumped out to a 9-1 lead and led the entire game. For Pendleton, Evan Mazingo had 16 points and Cooper Sims 14. I think it's going to be a good season for Pendleton Heights as well. Anderson faces 1-0 Liberty at Highland on Saturday. There will be no Donnie Bowling for that one. He got 2 technical fouls in the win and was ejected, so he will not participate in Friday's game. Is it Friday or Saturday?
I don't know.
Okay, well, it's either Friday or Saturday. Sorry, it's my least organized scoreboard yet. Trying to just get through it. We've been here forever. Pendleton goes to 1-0 Wapahani to face a very good Wapahani team. Before we get to that one, make sure you go read Rob Hunt's game story on Anderson Pendleton Heights for more. Wapahani dominated Muncie Central from start to finish and won 51-27. The score was 22-0 at the end of the first quarter and 26-9 at halftime. The Raiders shut out the Bearcats in the first quarter, Michelle.
Oh, yeah. Talk about 2 NCC powerhouses of the past in Anderson and Muncie Central. And Anderson looks to be, they're legit. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with.
Yes.
And poor Muncie Central, they have just fallen all the way to the other end of the scale.
The good news is Anderson was there 3 years ago. It wasn't that long ago that Anderson was there as well. So there is hope for schools like Muncie Central to come back. Man, what a conference that is. I love that conference. I hope they all are good every year because those games, growing up watching those games, were so much fun.
You think about the NCC and I just go back and you think about the travel involved. I mean, from Richmond to Lafayette, folks, that's not a quick trip or anything. And so it's just, it's a great historical conference. And it has historical good basketball traditions.
The best.
Yes. Now, granted, it got tougher for some of those teams once they went to class basketball, and I was for class basketball in some areas, unless they came up with a system to where they just didn't have it to where some of these big North Central schools got to host all the tiny county schools and everything. And
I loved it that way. Loved it that way. That's the best way to do it. Every small school has a target every year, and I loved that.
Yeah, but, at the same time, and you may have a target, but I think it made it easier for a smaller school to win the Anderson sectional or even sometimes the Lafayette sectional because at Anderson, you had Madison Heights and Highland. I mean, so there was a lot of big. So if if you caught that big school on the right night, you could do it. But Richmond and Kokomo and, Lafayette, usually Jeff was pretty dominant there, but Kokomo, Marion, Kokomo, and Richmond really most years had it easy.
To me, winning the Anderson sectional was a bigger deal than winning a Class 2A state championship. It just was. It was a huge deal. When Alexandria did it, ask the people who were involved in both Alexandria's Anderson sectional championships and their Class 2A state championships, which one was bigger. I bet it's a close call.
It might be, but I'll tell you what, you look at today, and I really think this, and I do think this would have happened because you see it happening, and in the classes with the numbers is this travel ball and these off seasons, and it's getting longer, and people starting their kids way too young, paying out way too much money when they're ages 6 through 13.
Absolutely.
And then they plateau, or they don't not all of them want to continue on, from high school, and you lose numbers. I mean, and especially even more so kind of like girls. And I think that may have been where you were at, as there's more things for kids to do. And I think we were in an era where, it was tough. I do like, I said this a long time ago, I was talking to a guy from the Bloomington Herald Times when they were talking about class, and we were talking, and he said, we came up, he said, their sports staff at the Herald Times and some others, they'd come up with what they considered a great system, and that was to, like the first round or first 2 rounds of the tournament, kind of make them class, kind of matching it up, and then you fed everybody in. And he said then you can still have small schools have a chance to get that off that big school, but then the big school, some of those bigger schools then don't just have a cakewalk to like the semi-state. And I said, you know what, I would be all for that if you could just find a way to make for some of those tiny schools not to have to go in year after year. Yes, can they? But once every 20 years, that's fine. But kids today, you see it now. If they have something else,
there's no reason a small school can't beat a big school. There's only 5 players. If you care enough, those kids can beat big schools. We've seen it over and over and over, and I love it that way.
But not on a regular basis, Greg. That's the whole thing. Understand. Not on a regular basis.
You have to have a class or 2 of kids who really care. And if you don't, you're not going to beat the big schools. If you do, you can.
And granted, and now you can do it, I guess, through the regular season. I just didn't want to see, like I said, and I'll be honest with you, though the NCC has some good battles, I kind of got tired of seeing 2 to 4 schools in the state tournament every year. Sorry.
Understandable.
I mean, yeah, give me some of the the others. That's why I will say this. Greatly, it was great. The Damon Bailey years, it was great to kind of see Bedford kind of be able to take out, from some of those.
Anderson Prep opened with a 65-62 win over Alexandria. It was Anderson Prep's first season opening win in 11 years. Lincoln Fathour, 20 points for Anderson Prep. Cameron Anderson, 13. Zamarian Bryant, 12. Connor Kettery led all scorers with 21 for Alexandria. Alexandria is at West Dell on Saturday. Anderson Prep hosts Elwood on Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We, Coach Vanskyock in an interview that we did with him for a different podcast.
That we just played a few minutes ago.
We just played a few minutes ago. That he was talking about Anderson Prep being better. They had some move-ins from Anderson, and so high school, and makes them better and more athletic. And I will say this, I covered the Elwood APA game last year, and APA was very athletic. They had some really good athletes, and they just needed some more, I thought, structure, a little bit discipline in certain things. I know their athleticism, bothered Elwood at times, but I just thought APA needed that discipline. And if that's what some of those athletes, if they bring that in, then APA could be kind of a scary good team this year. And good for them, because it's a team that you usually look at and say, chalk up a win. So it would be interesting to hear from Coach Marty Carroll from Ellick to just kind of see what the difference is in this APA team from APA teams of the past. And does he believe his players took that team seriously entering into the game?
And we will talk to Coach Carroll very soon, and we will hear from him on Thursday's CIC preview. Freshman Amarian Leggett, speaking of players we're going to hear from in the CIC preview, debuted for Blackford on Friday night, I'm confused about that too, Tuesday night with 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 block shots, and a steal, but it wasn't enough in a 53-49 home loss to South Adams. Also for Blackford, senior Gage Baker had 12 points. Southwood, which his entire roster is juniors, was led by 18 points for Maddox Marshall. Guess what? He's a junior. And Blackford is at Bluffton on Saturday. Damon Winston had 24 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists in Sheridan's 89-47 win over Cowan. Sheridan looks to go 2-0 at Southmont on Saturday. And Northwestern opened the season with a 38-32 comeback win over Pioneer at home. Hayden Cook had 17 points, 13 rebounds for Northwestern, which is at Lewis Cass in its Three Rivers Conference opener on Saturday. And we have 6 boys games on Wednesday. Only one of those teams played on Tuesday, so I'm going to give you last year's records for all of those. Hamilton Heights was 10-14 last year, goes to Noblesville, which is one of the best teams in the state, and 22-3 last year. Marion was 12-13. They go to Mississinawa for a big one. We talked to Coach Brooks about that one which will appear on Thursday, Central Indiana Conference preview. And Mississinawa hosts Marion in a big one. Oak Hill, which was 13-11 last year and one of the CIC favorites, goes to Wabash, which was 21-6 a year ago. Hagerstown, the only team that played last night, is 0-1 after a 65-55 loss to Franklin County. They go to Yorktown, which was 14-11 last year. Westdale was 9-14 last season, goes to Cambridge City, which was 8-15. And finally, we are done with podcasting for the day. 12-10, Daleville was their record last year, goes to Shenandoah, which was 13-11 last year. All 6 games are at 7:30, except for Oak Hill Wabash says 7:45. Wow. It has officially been a full work day, 8 hours of podcasting today, and we're done.
We're done. Now I get to go pick up my contributions to Thanksgiving dinner at my sister's tomorrow. I gotta order them and go pick up some Texas Roadhouse rolls. And hopefully not all the fruit, because I forgot to call Nealers. I thought I was going to get by. Hopefully not all the fruit trays are disappeared from anywhere, so I can grab some fruit to take. So,
all right, Michelle, thank you so much for doing all of this, and thank you everyone for listening. Go like, subscribe, or follow right now. Tell a friend and give us 5 stars. All that stuff. Whew, that was a long one.
It was fun. Always is fun. On behalf of Greg and I, we want to wish all of our listeners a very happy Thanksgiving. And if you are going to be out in the car, hopefully you're listening to us, but don't listen to us so much that you get distracted that you forget to pay attention to the road. So safe travels if you are traveling. But our podcast should provide you plenty of listening material to cover your journey.
I believe it's going to be at least 8 hours worth of podcasting released on Thanksgiving Day. So, all right, the Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.
Yes, he does. So do I. Susie, thank you so much, and happy Thanksgiving to you.